Hello, yeah. Can I get some room service, please? Thank you. Yeah. Can I get the turkey burgers, please? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm a moralist, but I'm not moral. I do the best I can. I often think, the whole idea of self-will is rubbish. We don't have self-will. And it's just one of those things where, we all sort of struggle through our day, try to do the best we can. I mean, look at the world as it is. I mean, we should be fantastic. We should have everything we want, but we don't. We seem to sort of break it and then try to fix it. Sometimes I wish we were robots. Maybe it would be better. I don't see any differentiation from making films or feature films as such and art. But, I mean, of course, one is much more about storytelling. Not to say that art sort of takes storytelling out of the equation, but it's just that this is much more filmmaking is all about connecting to an audience, telling stories really. Again, when you make an artwork or when you make something, it has a life of its own, and of course, you can step back from the canvas or whatever and have a look at it, and it has some kind of effect, of course, yes. Well, Shame, the title came from talking to a lot of sex addicts and what happens, obviously, when they go on. They have sex, or they go on these sexcapades, long sort of drawn out sexual sort of encounters or whatever on the internet, or prostitutes or whatever, masturbating. When they sort of come out the other end, there's a huge sort of feeling of self-hate as such, and of course shame. And the shame, this word kept on coming up. This word shame kept on cropping up in conversations, and it was quite sort of evident that we should call the movie Shame. It's a film about human beings who are trying to sort of get through a day. The character Brandon is not at all exotic. He's not a freak. He's actually, he's one of us. On paper, is a very unsympathetic person, a very, self-centered person, and I wanted to sort of not judge him at all. There's this situation. He's closed. He doesn't want anyone in it. He doesn't want anyone to be let in, and I think that's the sort of that's the character of Brandon. He doesn't want anyone to be let in. And he's very cold in that sense. Sex, it's an appetite for something which gives you pleasure. So I think women, have an appetite for sex just as much as men. But we couldn't find a woman who would speak to us, unfortunately. But it's just an addiction. It could be anything. It could be obesity, alcohol, drugs, gambling, what have you. I mean, they're all quite similar. People just want to get away from reality. I think the research is what made the movie. I mean, of course, myself and Abby Morgan, the lady who I wrote the movie with, we both went out to New York to do the research. And I think the reason why I went to New York was because we couldn't get anyone in England to actually answer any questions about sex addiction. We couldn't get anyone to go on record. So we were lucky enough to talk to people in New York and experts in the field and talking to people who were sex addicts and are sex addicts and how they live their life and how they deal with it every day. I think that's the way to work. Usually on these things I like, because you're not forcing anything, you're actually discovering things. Often it's the case when you collaborate with people, which I don't do often, but when I do, you're hoping for the best, and with Abby it was the best, and it was a wonderful experience, and through that we came to sort of where we are now.